I got Wyatt Stamatopoulos on the call with us. He's one of our newest and most productive 20 protected 20 families a month. But super excited to have him on the call. Wyatt, can you hear me?
Yeah, what's up, brother? Happy to be here with you, man.
Hey, what's up, dude?
As always.
But hey, guys, I really just want to have Wyatt do a lot of talking and what he's doing as a producer and what's changed in his mind getting into the business, coming from the car industry. I don't want to take any of his glory from this call because he's a stand-up guy. He's a great friend of mine. Love this guy, and he's really killing it in this industry. And I'm super excited to hear what he has to say to you guys, and a little bit more about his story and sharing that story with you guys. So, Wyatt, dude, can you just kind of break down a little bit about where you came from, you know, what you're doing and how you're doing it?
First of all, man, thank you for that. That's really nice to hear that come from you, bro. I know me and a lot of people look up to you. I mean, honestly, the most important thing, dude, is the only reason I'm here is because of the grace of a loving God. First of all, okay, I'm an empty vessel, bro, and that's the most important thing. And I've thought about it, and like, if I have an opportunity to use a platform, I need to mention that, especially to new agents, bro. I'm empty without the direction of a loving God. It's the reason I'm here today, and really, that's where most of the credit should go. You know. I mean, a little bit about my story. At, 21, 22 years old, I was a homeless alcoholic drug addict. My life has changed a lot through grace and a lot of hard work, which led me into the car business. I had a lot of success. I was doing the right things, taking care of my family, but I didn't feel fulfilled. I think is ultimately what led me to make this decision to move into family first life. I didn't feel fulfilled, man. I always dreamed of owning a business. I always dreamed of freedom. I love this country. We have the ability to truly, truly chase our conscience and our dreams. And I felt like I wasn't living up to that. And so I had a daughter due in 3 months, a wedding in a month. And I said, baby, I'm leaving this job. I'm leaving this salary, and I'm going to come do this 100% commission. She thought I was crazy, but like a good woman should, she said, okay. I trust you. I believe you. I know you're going to make it work. And so I think when you talk about mindset, man, it's indispensable. And another thing, like, this mindset stuff is a little bit cliche. It's extremely simple, but also extremely complex, if that makes sense. Once you get it, you've got it. I just have this irrational, almost, belief in myself. I always have. Sometimes that's gotten me in trouble. But a lot of times, if directed in the correct way, it's led me to beautiful things. And so that's number one, dude. I just have this irrational self-belief. I think where that comes from, where that is rooted, is my work ethic, first and foremost. I know I'm going to work hard. I know I'm going to do what I say I'm going to do. And that's pretty simple, right? I don't believe that I'm the smartest guy or have any special talents necessarily. I'm a college dropout. I think I did about a month's worth of college before I dropped out, right? So yep. I don't kill it with skill. I just know that I'm going to show up every day, and I can hold myself accountable to that. So that's really where that starts for me, man. And that's what it's rooted in. Just a ridiculous self-belief, knowing that I work hard. And the other part of this is toughness. I know I'm a tough mother, and I've been through some things in life where I've had the chance to prove that to myself. I looked at myself as a victim for a long time and had this perspective change that I'm a warrior. And I think that we all are. It's just a matter of tapping into that. So I just knew that I could outlast people, but more focused on myself, I could outlast my own discomfort. I knew that there were going to be days where I was just it felt like the world was falling apart. I just knew that if I got a good night's sleep, I'd wake up the next day, drink some coffee, and be ready to go again. And I think that's very responsible for some of the success I've had. It's just tenacity and stick-to-itiveness,
Right on. Thanks for sharing that, bro. Let me ask you this question, bro. So looking back at the beginning of this, when we first got started, you and I were working really tight, right?
Yeah.
What changed from like that comfortable lifestyle that you had working in that job to like, okay, I feel like I'm walking on eggshells, but I'm not really, because I'm actually making money and I'm growing my own business.
Mm-hmm.
What was that mindset shift? Like from like, okay, I am making money. It
Mm-hmm.
just doesn't feel the same. So can you explain and dig that in?
Like I've talked about, I've always thought I was a hard worker, but you don't see this until you're on the other side. I think when you're in a W-2 salary, whatever kind of job, there's nothing wrong with that. It's just not for me, I've realized. I think what I did was I had reached a certain point in my life, number one as a man, and number two as an employee. I just reached this limit of like, I know if I work this hard, I'm going to get this output. And this output is pretty good. And just something was gnawing on me for a lot of years. Like, I have more to give. Am I going to be 60 years old, like sitting on a rocking chair with my wife? Like, I could have done it, but I didn't. I was not willing to go through that scenario. So then you come over to start a business, be an entrepreneur, be 1099, whatever you want to do inside the lanes of FFL, right? And it's like, you really realize how much more you can give and how what you were giving is not even close to enough. So in the beginning, dude, there was I have this belief in myself, but on a day-to-day basis, there's a lot of fear, a lot of doubt, selfishness, tunnel vision. I experienced that, man, going through like my first tough dial days, my first couple months or couple weeks in the field, maybe. Just a lot of fear. But again, dude, stick-to-itiveness and tenacity
Dude,
bring you through that stuff.
that's a great point to kind of hone in on, like what changed like on your dial days. Let's hone in on like what that looks like. Like maybe you're frustrated, maybe you got a few no sales, maybe you're on the phone, you got 8-10 no sales back to back to back, maybe a couple chargebacks. Let's get real on that side and spearhead what that feels like, what that looks like,
Oh, it sucks
from you.
Dude, you're gonna get your butt kicked.
Yeah.
Like, you are gonna get your butt kicked in this business. Because if it were easy, everybody would do it, right? Like, you and I I've talked with a bunch of people. Sometimes I come home to my family and I'm like, I can't believe that I made this amount of money today. It's ridiculous. So it's amazing. But if it were easy, everybody would do it. Man, it sucks. Like, I got my butt kicked for a while and still do, by the way. I don't think that ever goes away. I have days where I'm like, I suck at this, but man, it's like my first couple dial days, I'm so determined. I have this plan, I have this goal, I have it all plotted out in my mind. And like 4 hours in, I'm like, this ain't going to plan. None of this is going to plan. These people don't like me. My voice is cracking. They know I'm full of crap. All this doubt then starts to creep in. But again, dude, like I said at the beginning, it was just, I'm too dumb to quit, or I'm too tough to quit, however you want to put it. What that looked like for me was I would walk away for a little while. I'd walk away from the phones for half an hour or an hour, and that resolve to fight would come back. So I guess to sum it up, dude, it is just always into the next action. Okay. So now you take it like the beginning of last week, I woke up like $2,400 in chargebacks. I had problems with lead flow. So now I'm already running a light week. I wake up with chargebacks with Americo. It's just a tough way to start your week. See, in the beginning, that demoralized me. Totally and utterly demoralized me. I kept going, but it affected the way I treated people. It just affected stuff. Nowadays, because I've gone through it, it's kind of like the gym, right? You put a muscle through enough stress, it's going to grow over time. Well, it's the same way in this business. I've gone through that enough times to where it's like, okay, I have chargebacks. Who cares? What is the next action? And that to me is a recipe, dude.
There you go.
Into the next action, always.
Yeah, 100%, dude. But dude, what I've really come to find out being in this business, dude, I spoke about it last week on an agent call as well, dude. Like, you got to be passionate about what we're doing. Your why might not carry you through this. And I heard this a couple weeks back, dude. Are you shooting low enough to achieve? Are we shooting like way too high and we can't achieve anything in this? Because in this business, it's super simple, right? We have this, we have to keep it simple in this business because the numbers play out. Like, if you're not running if you're full-time and you're not running 25, 30 appointments a week plus, failure is on the horizon. And if you're part-time, that's fine and that's great. Or you're virtual, that's great too. But you have to be continuing to buy leads, get in front of people, or be on the phones for this business to work out, because at the end of the day, the numbers will work out, and they work out in your favor. And so when I got into this business, I was so passionate about what I had to do for my family. I was shooting for the stars, man. Like I had to, this had to work out. I didn't have a choice, bro. Can you kind of dial in a little bit on that, on what you're doing and what you're, what's keeping you motivated, and why that mindset is important?
I'll be honest, motivation is crap. Motivation doesn't mean anything, in my opinion. It comes down to principles, beliefs, and convictions, because motivation is fleeting. Some days I'm like the most motivated dude in the world. Some days I am as low as it comes. You cannot bank on motivation. It's, it's like the rain, dude. It's just going to come in and out. So here's one thing that I did do before I got into this business. And then I also had to adjust as I started my first couple of weeks. Ed Milet says it, and I love it. It's negotiate the price beforehand. Like, okay, I'm going to do this amount of work, and I should get this result. Well, we go into the field and stuff starts happening, or we're into a dial dance, stuff starts happening. Bad. It doesn't go our way, right? So we start to negotiate it with ourselves. Well, I've got a commission coming in tomorrow. I think I'll be okay. Maybe I can go home the rest of the day. You know what? I have 9 appointments. That should be okay. I've got this one lead from 2 weeks ago I could call. I'm done dialing for the day. Does that make sense? Like, we start to negotiate with ourselves when it gets tough. The idea is negotiate beforehand. I am willing to do whatever level of effort it takes to get this desired result. So if that is 15 appointments need to be set, that's the negotiation, dude. And I did that beforehand. It doesn't matter how tough it gets. I need to continue until I hit that goal. So that's one thing that's been very big for me.
Dude, that's huge, bro. And I know you and I have both talked about this. I believe, and I know without the shadow of a doubt, bro, we tend to put ourselves into a victim status.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Easily.
Like, oh man, like, oh, this happened, kind of like what you were just now talking about. And that's been, that can be, like you said, demoralizing to you, bro. That can crush you. That'll crush your spirit. You start to put yourself in that, then you start making excuses, and then you're off to the races, man. You're at home, you're kicking back, then you're complacent, you're stagnant. You're not really just taking the action that we need to be taking in this business, which is continuing to buy leads, continuing to call the phones, continuing to get in front of families and help them out. That's it. Those are the activities and the attitude that we have to have. But go ahead, bro.
Well, I totally agree, dude. The other thing that I was thinking about this morning is gratitude, man. Like, when days are rough, it's, like, the minute I could tap into some gratitude in my life, like look around and say, look at my life today. These little problems, these worldly issues aren't that big a deal. It's like, okay, so I owe some money to America, but guess what? I have total freedom. I don't have anybody breathing down my neck. I have a license to print money, as you would say. My family has me here. I can do whatever I need to do for them and myself. Like, as soon as I get away from gratitude, you kind of see things go downhill. So I've gotten better at that over time as well. Like, look at how much we have to be grateful for, bro. It's ridiculous.
You can take that so much further too, bro. Just a basic roof over our head and a car that we have the ability to drive around in the country that we live in, bro, and the freedoms that we possess here, dude. That can go deep, dude. But can you kind of dive into your schedule a little bit, dude, on what you're doing right now compared to what you were doing in the beginning? Maybe a little bit about how your organization and how you started to organize things, if you felt disorganized.
That's another thing, man. Well, I mean, like, entrepreneurship in general, let's just say, but FFL more specifically, is going to show you your handicaps. I mean, this business, all it does is turn the mirror around and shine it right back at yourself. And that's what it's done, dude. It has showed me my character defects, my handicaps and shortcomings in a way that no other job did before, right? And so one of those things that I learned about myself is I am really disorganized. Like, because think about it, man, if we have a job like all my previous jobs, you kind of come in and you fill a role. Well, now I want the big boy chair. There are a lot of things that go on behind the scenes that I didn't really consider before. And the level of organization or effort and all that stuff, like I talked about, was enough then. But I have learned and am still learning, unfortunately, like how much more organized I need to be, more on the ball, more premeditated and intentional about what I'm doing. Because I didn't get into this business to just sell insurance and pay my bills, right? I want to do something special and that I can be proud of. So there's a lot of work that has been done and continues to need to be done on that risk.
But dude, that's such a great point that you bring up today. Like, dude, I was at the gym and it was busier than I've seen it in a while. Why? Because everybody's off today, dude. Look how much control corporate America has, the government has over people. You know, we're not in that situation. And you're alluding to the fact that we do have that freedom, bro. We have that freedom to make schedules. We have that ability to make our own schedule, right? You can catch things with your family if you need to, bro. Of course we have to be organized, dude. We're running a business. If you're really running this to make it a business, you got to be organized. Yeah. You have to have your schedule set up, right?
Well, yeah. And then the other part of that is just having the humility between me and myself to admit that I suck at this. You know, like it goes back into that victim mindset again. You know, I could kind of just cruise through this thing, but sometimes I need to take a hard look in the mirror, man, and be like, I'm not performing as good as I could. I'm not fulfilling my potential in this area because I suck at this and I need to reach out for help. I need to dial it in. Just having the honesty and humility to just kind of have that talk with yourself, I think is very important. You know, I'm so blessed to have the woman that I do in my life, but my wife is helping me with the business. The schedule really hasn't changed. And I think that's a good thing, right? There's always a new flavor of the week with how national this thing is, right? Between all the social media and YouTube. And I've noticed that, and I kind of stay true to what has worked and like added stuff in as I've gone. So for example, my schedule really hasn't changed, but now I'm hiring on Wednesdays. So now I'm not in the field on Wednesdays. I'm sitting down and I'm reaching out and interviewing folks to try to build a team. So I see this progression for myself as I've come in from day one to now. Day one was like, can I make money doing this? Now it's like, yes, I can make money, but can I teach others how to make money? So I see that shift, but I think the core stuff hasn't changed much, man. It's still the same recipe. 15 to 20 appointments, make sure I have my leads, go out there to serve people, you know, and then kind of make tweaks as I go.
I can tell you this, dude, this is what I love about this business. I don't know how many times I've been in a position where I get in that it's about me mindset. You know, it's been a while, very long time. And then I start to play victim, right? You can start to do that very quickly. And then I run into somebody that needs to hear my story, hear about my brokenness, about where I come from, you know, and you drop that seed and you plant it, you water it, and you encourage it. And we have the ability here to do that, right? And then we help somebody out in a tough time in their life, man, with insurance. And I can't tell you how many times, and I know you've called me, man, on so many different occasions and been like, hey, man, I just helped this person out. And then you're like, because I was like this too, like a day earlier, you're like, man, like, what's going on? Like, what's wrong is there something wrong with me? Like this person said no, this person said no. Like, am I doing something wrong? And not really, man. It's just people, right? But then the numbers will start to average out, man, in this business, and it changes on a light switch, man. It changes that quick overnight, and then you're on pace, and that's when you got to hit the gas and take off. You're on that high. You know what I'm saying?
Well, yeah, dude. There's a certain level of momentum that starts to kick in. You know, I just know when I am in that place where it's all about Wyatt and I have chargebacks, I have no sales, I have no shows, everything's not seeming to go right. I know that I feel that way because it's all about Wyatt. The minute that I can step outside myself and go into a home to serve somebody and forget about the results, right? Like there's a template that we follow. There is an end outcome I would like to happen and a frame as a salesman that I keep people in. Beyond that, dude, I try to let God work through me and just let it kind of be his will, like stay out of results. And 9 times out of 10, dude, those are the ones where the dude or the woman is crying and giving me hugs. And
Yep.
it may not even be the biggest sale, dude. I may not really make anything, but that lifts me up, and it doesn't even matter anymore. So that's a huge part, dude.
That's awesome.
We do this to serve others, man. At the end of
But
the
I
day.
think I kind of want to hit on this too, man. Like, what is it like for you, when you're going into the home? I mean, I know you've done some virtual stuff, but I think you're pretty much on a hybrid, probably like 80-20 hybrid method right now.
Yep.
And I know we're creeping that direction, but what does it look like, man, when you got things going on, when you're stepping out of a vehicle, whatever the case might be, bro? Maybe you got some things going on. You are in those chargebacks in your vehicle. I was always told, like, hey, like, just leave that stuff. Sean always harped about this in the beginning. It kind of took me a while to get it. Like, I would take my problems and issues with me, and people can feel that presence, that energy inside the home, knocking on the door, your voice, like how you're sitting at the table, your posture, like all these come into play, right? When you're sitting with somebody, how to maneuver the computer and have a conversation and try and figure out an application at the same time. I know that's kind of like a, 3 or 4 or 5 in one type of question, but, drip on that, man, for a second.
Well, I've only learned it through experience, right? So these calls are great. The YouTube videos are great. Training boot camp, Steve, dude, FFL organizationally, as far as the training, is like second to none. But stuff like that, I have had to learn through just fire. I've had to walk into so many homes, so absorbed in myself, to not get a sale and walk out and say, what the hell is their problem? And then, like, it was me the whole time. I was there for me, and it's just taking time to learn to, like, pray in the car for a second and leave it there, man. And when I get to the door, I actually look them in the eyes. I'm not looking them in the eyes, but not really looking them in the eyes. You know what I'm saying? The difference? Like, I'm actually looking them in the eyes. I'm shaking their hand, and, like, I'm just letting my energy pour into them. That I'm still getting better at it, because I still will walk into homes thinking about me and not truly present with them. But I've gotten so much better at it, man. I just think that comes through experience. And if you can have those honest talks with yourself and realize that it's not them, it is me, right? Sometimes there's certain things that are them. That's inarguable. But I think 100% of the time, there's probably something I could have done better. So that's just trial and error, man. It's just trial and error.
And you know what, bro, like, in the beginning, I wasn't as good at it. And I know you have been, but that's just reaching out to people, bro. Reaching people out that are cheering on for, bro, your sideline. People that are in your corner, bro. You reach out. I mean, you and I talk so much, dude. We talk a lot, bro. But I think it's really important to nail down some folks that you can relate to in this business, that you can talk to, not complain to, talk to, right?
Correct.
Get better at. Like, what are we doing? Is this good energy that we're talking about? Like, what are we dealing with here, man? So can you talk a little bit about how important that is to you?
It's been a cheat code, man. Like, we're foolish to be within arm's length of any number of Hall of Fame producers, people that have done exactly what I would like to do, and not reach out to them. Right? It's like this saying, it's hard to spot self-deception by yourself. I don't know where I'm off track unless I'm talking to a Stephen Yee or a William Moore all the time. Sometimes I can figure it out, but a lot of times I just need to bounce some stuff off of you, or anybody in this business. So, like, if there's new agents on this call, man, wrap your arms around these people, bring value to their life first and foremost, right? Don't just come to them to cry and complain, because nobody wants to hear it. I've always just done my best to come to you or anybody else with a humble, being willing to be taught sort of attitude of, hey, this is what happened. This is what I think, but I'm not sure. Where am I off track? I think that's so important, man. And you can really speed up your growth process in this business if you're willing to do that.
100%, bro. So what do you, appreciate you sharing that, man. What do you say your schedule looks like, bro, compared to where you were at and what you're doing now?
The Wednesday thing has changed. Interviewing people is a trip. It's fun. It's a new experience. Just busier, I'd hope, right? I've had a lot of struggle with lead flow. I'd say this last like month, just where I live, not really being able to supply the volume of leads that I need. But there and again, it's because I could have planned better. So I come up with a new system and strategy, and this week I have a plethora of leads. But I had to go through a couple of weeks of complaining every Monday and Thursday that I didn't have leads. It's because I didn't plan well enough, right? So ideally I'm busier these days, but not much has changed, dude. I can tell you this, that I'm more willing to go virtual with people, right? If someone's a little reluctant, I'm more than happy to say, well, let's get it done on the phone and do that. But to be honest with you, Will, I my schedule hasn't changed too much, man.
Good,
I've kind of kept things similar. Yeah.
good deal. Well, I kind of want to open the call up here for a minute, bro, and just see if anybody's got any shout outs or any questions that they'd like to ask, bro. If you have anything to add or that you'd like to add, Lord, that's just poured out on your heart, bro, like add something to it, man.
There is one thing when I was thinking about this call. It's like, is the visualization aspect of this. There's a million books about it, okay, and there's a lot of truth to it. Before I walked into this business, I remember when I was studying, I was working at the other job, I was working on getting contracted. I was like, what am I going to write my first couple months? And I set the number at 20,000. And I thought, if I can do 20,000, I'm the baddest dude on the planet, right? But just like that was the number, 20K. The problem is I hit it too fast, and it is not even nearly close to where I want to be. And so what I'm trying to say is, if you are a new agent, newer, whatever, first and foremost, your visualization game has to be so strong. Like, you have to just see it so vividly. You have to have emotion attached to it. When you think about hitting 40K, when you think about getting that red jacket, like, what color slacks are you wearing? What does that stadium smell like, right? Like, you have to visualize this stuff. But the other part of it is dream bigger. And I know that's cliche, but if I could go back, I would have shot for 50. And I bet you I may not have gotten it, but I would have gotten over 20. There's just something to that can be difficult to articulate, but it is a real thing, man. If you are new, visualize yourself doing that. Orient your life to be successful, right? If you're staying up till 2 a.m., you're not taking this business serious, it won't matter anyway. But if you orient your life and you back it up with work ethic, that goal and dream that you see in your mind will come to fruition. Just make sure you set a high enough goal, because you might just hit the one you set and be disappointed, you know?
Bro. Hey, dude, is there, in regard to that, bro, do you have anything else that you can drop on here that you'd give advice to a new agent? Maybe somebody, like I said, 1 to 3 months. Is there something that you would maybe change up a little bit differently?
Yeah, 100%. Embrace discomfort.
There you go.
Dude, I for the first couple of months, I did everything to avoid it. Intellectually, I knew it was a good thing. Okay, but getting no-showed and then having a 2-hour gap, right, was so uncomfortable for me. And it freaked me out. Today, I realized that's a beautiful thing, dude. If you can embrace discomfort and it forces you into more action, that's the secret sauce. So to new agents, number one, and I think it covers everything in this business, seek out discomfort. Embrace it. Challenge yourself to make another 5 calls before you hang it up for the night. Get road warrior. Challenge yourself. I'm going to do 5 door knocks today. I don't even care what the freaking outcome is. I'm just going to go knock on doors because it scares the hell out of me. That's the type of stuff that I do, but I wish I would have done a better job of even still. So I would tell new agents that you got to seek discomfort, man, because it's going to get you one way or another. It just depends on what your mindset is around it. So if you view it as a blessing, dude, you're going to be so much better off than me or a lot of people. So just embrace discomfort, I think, is number one.
There you go, bro. That's the key here. I still remember sweating bullets in my first appointment.
Yep.
And that's been getting uncomfortable. It's taken me to new heights in this business, dude, new levels. And you
Yep.
continue to do it, and you continue to do it, buying additional leads, calling when you get no showed. You're eliminating that, like, that victim status when you're like, okay, I got no
Yep.
show, but I can still make some calls or purchase more leads or call my upline and say, hey man, I just got out of this call or this appointment. Like, here's the scenario, here's what happened. Like, what can I do better to get better? What did I
Yeah.
do wrong? What do you think I did wrong? I think that was huge for me, because
Yep.
I wanted to know what I could do to get better, man. My persistency was low and I wanted to get it higher. And I was just struggling. I was taking things into the home, emotions that didn't need to be there, man, because it's not about you. But at the end of the day, bro, we have to continue to serve, bro. Let's see, somebody had a chat in here. What does your schedule look like to get 15, 20 appointments a week? So I'll let you answer that, bro. Somebody had put that up in the chat.
Oh, that's just phones. That's just phones. Here's an experience I had lately. Maybe 4 weeks ago, for a couple weeks anyway. I wasn't starting dialing till like 9 or 9:30, and then my appointment count would be off. I was so ignorant to it too. It wasn't until last week I'm like, what the hell am I doing? So that's something very simple. Like 8 o'clock, I'm sitting at this desk and I'm dialing. But I dial from like 8 to 7, 7:30 until my wife yells at me to eat dinner, is essentially when I'm dialing on dial days. To get your appointments, that's it. Yeah. It's not fun. I'm not going to lie. I don't like the phones at all, but it's just something we got to do. So that'd be my advice. To get your appointments, just dial the damn phone.
Yeah. I think that, like you said, man, dialing a little bit earlier. I spend time on Sundays dialing. Like,
Yep,
you
I
can
know you
drop
do.
you can
That's
drop
good.
some extra time on Sundays, man, a couple hours.
Yo, Will, you should
Or-
share. You should share that real quick, man. How do you? It always seems every time I talk to you, you are bleeding an appointment or two
Yeah.
into a couple days later.
Oh,
How are you
100%,
doing
dude.
that?
I just keep dialing the phones, bro. When I get leads, so I have leads set up that just auto generate, right? I want to get leads all the time. That is one thing that was so uncomfortable for me in the beginning, that I'm programmed, right? And I'm committed to always dialing leads, bro. Like, that's all I do. Like, if I'm in an appointment, I'm working with somebody, or I'm calling for an annual review, or I'm calling another lead, or I'm calling old leads, or I'm following back up. I'm constantly calling leads, because that's the activity that brought me back to what? Getting in front of another person, right? To serve another family, and to get another deposit, bro. Like, that was it.
Yeah.
That's what I really enjoyed about this business. And when you figure that out, you don't get off the phones, because
Yeah.
that's the activity that you have to have. Dude, I wasn't stopping dialing because it was Wednesday or a Tuesday
I know you're really good
on
at
a
it.
run
Yeah.
day. Why? Why are
Yeah.
we stopping that, dude? Because that's what takes us back to sitting in front of another person. And if you're virtual, you're gonna be on the phone a lot, like 100% virtual, and that's fine. Like, like you're doing that, do your thing, and
So good.
that's, dude, like that's what it's about. Like, I wanted to understand this business, and that's right, lead flow is cash flow. That's right, Dave. And that was huge for me, bro, and that got me uncomfortable. But when I had to purchase my leads every week, like, I was able to, like, I'll just buy them. I had a good week last week. Like, I'm not going to
Right.
buy many this week,
That's
because
that
I help
negotiation, dude.
families. Yeah. Right. That's like, stagnant,
Yep.
complacent.
Yep.
Nah, I'm good. My bills are paid. Dude, I got my bills paid for 2 months. We're good. No, bro. No. So when I
Well,
put it on auto generate with everybody that I possibly could and still do, you got to work, bro.
to kind of let the people know, every time I talk to Will, he's like, "Oh, I'm just at karate. The kids are up in karate. I'm in the car dialing." It's like a Tuesday, a run day. I get out of an appointment. Will got no showed. He stops at Whataburger and he's dialing. Will is just very, very, very good at dialing. And always, I've never seen him start a week without a couple of appointments. It's something that I'm not good at that, and I've noticed that. But any new agents, Will kills it doing that. I think it's so smart.
Hey man, just anybody that's on this call, if you got any other questions, man, or for Wyatt, like, please reach out to us. We're both on Facebook, on
Yeah.
Instagram. We're passionate about helping others. I know Wyatt is.
Yep,
I
100%.
know I am for sure, man. We'll pour into some other people. So if you guys have any questions, please put them up in the chat. And I'll give you guys a few minutes to kind of come up with those. But how's your week looking so far, bro?
Good. I got 6 on the books. Decent weekend. Got to roll a couple of appointments. So I've only set 4 today. I started with 2. Let's see. What'd Steve say?
Let's see here. Chris Kelly put up Wyatt, do you work your leads in a stack like 30 to 50 at a time and call morning, afternoon, and evening till you fully work that stack before moving on to the next stack?
Essentially, yeah. So I spend a lot of time with final expense. So say, like right now, I have 105 fresh final expense leads to start today. I dial through each lead twice in the morning. Okay, afternoon I dial twice, and then at night I dial 3 times. Here's another thing that I do, and I actually got an appointment from it this morning. I go back about 2 weeks and dial leads from 2 weeks ago I was never able to get a hold of. Now with internet leads, that's hard to do, and maybe I wouldn't advise it. But if you are doing like Facebook final expense, right, these exclusive leads, I would strongly recommend working those leads for 2 or 3 weeks. Now, maybe 3 weeks down the road, you're not double dialing them, right? Because that's taking time away from your fresh leads. But I at least hit them with 1 dial. And I can tell you, I probably set maybe 5 appointments a week that are several week old leads. And the reason is they're older folks and they just missed the phone that day or whatever. So I'll say that I dial the leads 3 separate times a day. The batch that I have today, I am also going to dial them on Thursday, but I'm not going to count them as new leads. You know what I'm saying? They're just kind of trickle-ins. They're just a bonus.
Right. So right. Thanks,
that's the way
that
that
answers
I'll
your
run it.
question, Chris. We got a question from Stevie. When you get a string of no-shows, I know you talked about this a little bit earlier. When you get a string of no-shows as a brand new agent, how do you handle it mentally, especially when you're ready to quit and question your existence of doing this?
Hey, first of all, just feel that, man. Yeah, it sucks. And I remember this one day vividly. I came home, actually. I had these no-shows and I came home for lunch and I was just done. I was at a breaking point. But I didn't quit. So that's number one. Just show up the next day. If you get your butt kicked and you come home for lunch, even if you're not proud about that, show up the next day. But Will and I were just talking about this. It's like just into the next action. So you have whatever, no shows, chargebacks, whatever it may be, just get into the next action. Because here's what I have noticed, that I go through adversity, and then at some point, whether it's the next day or 5 days later, I'm driving home and I get to tell my wife, babe, I submitted 5,000 today. Babe, we've got a $2,000 commission coming in the morning, right? So I have just had enough experience over time to know that if I focus on the next action, eventually I will be okay. I'll be fine. I think where we run into trouble is when we dwell on that. We sit in that for too long. It's okay to sit in it, just not for too long. And I know I did that in the beginning. Nowadays, I feel it, whatever. And then I just move on to the next action, dude. Next door knock, next appointment, or next dial, whatever.
Right on, bro. Next question. What are some of you're working primarily final expense? I know some internet leads. What are some of your lead types, and like how many leads are you working per dial day, man? I think that was a question from D Chen. Thanks, David.
Dave, what's up, man? I'm usually ordering between 30 and 50 Facebook final expense leads. There's a million vendors out there that do it. And then a habit I've gotten into is I check the CRM like every day, because I love aged mortgage. Obviously, I loved aged final expense. And then I also like 3-month mailers. So if I'm having trouble with lead flow, or maybe I didn't spend as much on Facebook final expense that I could have, then I'll go buy some 3 months. So for me, dude, it's a real focus on final expense, and then always looking at the CRM and looking for opportunities. 3 o'clock in the morning, they do cherry pick. So if I need leads, I set my alarm for 3 a.m. I buy them and I go back to sleep. Whatever.
But, and we got one more here about door knocks. What's kind of your intro? What are you saying to folks? And just run down that real quick for us.
I heard somebody say it, and I kind of adopted it. It's really no different than my phone script. I just knock, knock, knock. Will,
Yeah.
Hey, Will, how you doing? My name's Wyatt. I'm a field underwriter with Bernalillo County. Hey, I'm out here today. I just finished up an appointment down the road. I know our office has been trying to call you. A couple weeks ago, you had put in a request for some final expense coverage. And that's kind of how I lead into it. And I kind of, it's pretty simple from there. They're either like yes or no, or I'm not interested. But really my goal of that is I say, I either have about 20 minutes right now, or I can come back in an hour. And that's it.
That's great, bro.
So I'm trying to get into the house
right now.
I do 100%. I try to get into the house, or what I've noticed is if I give people a little bit of a cushion, I can be back in an hour. I've nailed a lot of appointments doing that.
Come on, bro. Yep.
Yeah.
All right. That's it, man. If anybody else has any more questions, go ahead and throw them up there. Let's see. Somebody has one more question here. A couple more, actually. When you had a lot of questions, how do you go about learning besides the experience?
It's the best way. I don't know. I'm biased. I think that doing it is always will trump anything else. Obviously there's basics that we need to know. But for me, it was like, where do I buy leads? Okay, I got my leads. What is my phone script? Okay, I set my phone script. I don't need to know anything besides that. I need to just accept that I'm going to suck. I have my leads. I have my phone script, dude. The only thing left for me to do is dial the damn phone. I don't even know what sort of feedback to ask for if I haven't dialed the phone at least a little bit, right? Hey, Will, I'm saying this, and this is a response I keep getting. Like there's only so much information I can get before I actually try something. Yeah. I have to actually get into it. Same thing with the home. It's like, yeah, we can sit here and talk about all these objection possibilities and whatnot, but I have to actually feel it, man. So again, buy leads, book appointments, get into the home, and be willing to suck a little bit. As beyond that, I can tell you this, that no time is wasted for me in the car between appointments. It's always should be a podcast or training or on the call with another agent. And I think between getting the experience and then supplementing that with training or other agents is what has really helped me.
Right on. Well, and I think that's important to know too, because the trial and error on the process and the curve that we go through in this business is you do have to stack the deck in your favor. You can't buy 10 leads and go, okay, we're going to have 10 appointments. That's just not reality in regard to this business. That's not how it works. Let's see. Sarah asked, why would you not call the internet leads 2 weeks later, but do it with the FEX, the Facebook?
Because the FEX are higher intent. And what I've noticed with the FEX leads is they don't have as many people calling them. What I've noticed with like internet leads, because trust me, I only know this from experience, because when I started, I was kind of like, Will, I'd buy a batch of leads, get a couple sales, and then say, oh my gosh, 100 people didn't answer from my lead stack. I don't need to buy leads. I'll just dial these same 100 people, right? And nobody picked up. And so what I figured out with CRM leads is like, look, they've been bought a bunch of times. People have been blowing them up. These call centers have just ruined it for everybody, you could say. And so CRM leads are a little bit difficult to do that with. But if you've got a mailer or you've got a Facebook exclusive lead or something like that, those people aren't being called as much. So it's a I would say, smart investment of your time to keep calling them. But
Hey, bro, remember who the first lead you ever helped out was? What was it?
it was a freaking oh dude, I know it was a CRM lead.
It was like a 3-month-old internet lead.
It was like a $4 lead,
Yep.
and it
I
was like
still remember, bro.
2900 AP.
Yeah,
And
bro. Internet lead.
it
But
was
guys,
amazing.
work the
Yeah.
leads, man. Work the leads. The only reason this business doesn't work is because you're not. Like it's a very simple business model. It's very simple. It does require structure.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Thomas, do you feel like starting so fast may have hindered, i.e., may have hindered some things for you in the business with your expectations? Kind of drip on that for a sec, bro.
Could you say that one more time? I want to make sure I understand it.
Do you feel like starting out so quickly may have hindered some things for you in this business with your expectations? I'm not quite sure what he's alluding to, but were your expectations maybe too high in the beginning?
Too low.
Too low.
I think I set too low of goals for myself, to be honest. But there's that irrational self-belief again. But then, I guess if you're asking me if I regret starting fast, absolutely not. I've always just kind of been that way. I think it's the right way to do it. Like, I love what Sean says, move fast and break stuff. I think, especially in this business, that's the best route to take. So no, I don't regret starting fast. I wouldn't have it any other way. I just would have set higher goals for myself. I really would have.
Let's see. Mary Lou has a questions about, he does get CRM leads for sure. And I know he works with other vendors as well.
Yeah.
But yes, definitely higher goals, Thomas. I think that's great, man. I think that's a great way to go, bro. Shoot high, man. Don't lower the standard.
As long as we back it up with work, because I could say I'm going to write 100,000, like, it's like, okay, what is that really backed by? There has to be some reality to it, but as long as I'm backing it up with consistency and hard work and all that stuff, and then set higher goals for yourself. You'd be surprised what you can accomplish.
Yep. Dude, when you know there's something bigger out there that's taking place and it's bigger than us, dude, I'm passionate about everybody I talk to. I share my story with everybody. I know you do. I think it's important to do that.
Yeah.
This world is desperately and deeply hunger for something that's bigger.
That's right.
And I'm going to be a part of that, bro. And I know you are too, man. But dude, with that being said, bro, I love that you got on this call, bro. I think you killed it, dude.
Thank you.
I'm so grateful to be working with you. So grateful for your
dude.
story, bro. So grateful that you walked into the office that day. Like it was incredible, bro. Like just walking into the office, man, that was our first contact. That was our first point of contact, man.
I love you, dude. Appreciate
I love you too, man. I appreciate you getting on the call. I appreciate you guys who hopped on. God bless all y'all.
Thank you.
We'll see you next week on the call. Okay. Take care.
Thank you guys so much.
Yep. Thank you.